I'm Mr. MegaManFan. Welcome back to the PC Engine Files, and today we're looking at Aoi Porinku, or Blue Blink as it's known in the United States and on the title screen here of this PC Engine game. And why does this PC Engine game exist? Well, because there is an anime called Blue Blink. And why does that exist? Because there's a manga called Blue Blink. And why does the manga exist? That's all thanks to legendary Japanese animator and illustrator Osamu Tezuka, or Tezuka Osamu if you're saying it the way it would be in Japanese, but he has been called the Walt Disney of animation in Japan. And that's not a title that's given to him lightly because this is the man behind Astro Boy, one of the hugest franchises of Japan of the last 100 years. And he's known for a lot of different things besides that. Kimba the White Lion, Phoenix, Princess Knight, I could go on and on and on. Basically, when they call him the God of Manga or the Godfather of Manga or the Japanese Walt Disney, none of these titles are inappropriate and all pay due respect to how legendary his work was. The sad thing about this particular game, or I should say the anime that it was based on, was that it was in development at the time Tezuka passed away from stomach cancer at the age of 60. So he never even got to see the show air, much less see the game based on his show. Not that I think he was necessarily a gamer or into video games, but I think he would have still been proud to know that one of his franchises had become a home console game that even now, 30 years later, is still well regarded among PC Engine collectors. And happily, this is not a short print run game that is widely unavailable. It's not inexpensive, but we're not talking $100 up like we have for some PC Engine games. You can actually find this one for as low as $24.99 plus shipping. So you could get it for about $30 with tax and everything else factored in. It's not bad for a PC Engine game. That's definitely not bad. So why was this so popular? Well, I would go ahead and say just because the anime it was based on was so popular, because he's the godfather of animation in Japan, because he's the Walt Disney of Japan, pretty much anything he did was going to have a cult following. For comparison's sake, what do you think of when you hear the name Akira Toriyama? You think of Dragon Ball, right? Most people do. But imagine if Tezuka was only known for Blue Blink. Then you would be like, huh? What? No, he did way more than that. And Toriyama did way more than Dragon Ball. He did Dr. Slump, he did Dragon Quest, he did Imagination Science World, Gulliver Boy. I mean, there's no end to the list of things you could name that he has been a part of or done, but he just gets known for that one thing. I suppose if Tezuka would be pinned to one thing, it might be Astro Boy, but I think pinning either man to just one thing they worked on would be grossly understating their accomplishments. Anyway, this is a very interesting game in that it's a quest where you're followed by two sidekicks who are like options in a shoot 'em up. They just follow along, mimicking you and copying what you do, but sometimes which one is the protagonist changes from one section to the next. So there are always two followers, but one in the lead. It's a very role-playing game kind of aesthetic, actually, where you have one character that leads the party on the world map, but then they're all involved in the battle when it comes time for the fight. You've got some bonus areas like this one with weird misshapen clocks that look like a painting from Salvador Dali. I don't know why, but it's auto-scrolling, so you have to just collect whatever items you can jump to in the time that you can, no pun intended, before it gets to the end. And there are hidden keys in certain levels that aren't explained in any way or given any hints for. You just have to shoot at a random block or a random item to find that particular key. And without the key, you can't advance to the boss fight. And the boss fights are where the titular Blue Blink comes into play, the tiny little horse that can be summoned by Kakeru, who is always in trouble and needing help. And since he rescued this horse, the horse in turn rescues him. He just says, "Say my name 3 times and I will appear." Kind of like Beetlejuice, huh? But that's how it works in the anime, manga, video game, etc. It's all tied together in that way. So Blue Blink will come to your rescue and help you fight the boss. You'll jump on his back and ride around and proceed with the fight accordingly. It's held up over time as a representative of the PC Engine library. I wouldn't call it the best, I wouldn't call it the worst. I would say above average. It's got a charming soundtrack. The visual style is not unappealing. And the way that your party works together, even though you're only really controlling one member of the party, certainly makes it stand out from other side-scrolling platformers of the day. Now, I do find it mildly annoying that when you scroll to the right, you can only continue to scroll to the right. You can't double back to go to something you missed or an area you missed. There is no left scrolling, you scroll to the right only. I'm not sure why Hudson Soft made that choice, but maybe they were just using the same engine they use for games like Adventure Island, where the exact same thing happens. You can go to the right, but you can never go to the left, or at least not in the original games. Maybe in the later on games like New Adventure Island, that was not such a case, but I'd have to go back and play that. I just remember the original Adventure Island in the arcade and on the NES being that way. I think New Adventure Island would actually be a good game to cover on the PC Engine Files now that I mention it, so we'll have to do that one here at some point in the future. But suffice it to say, Aoi Blink or Blue Blink is not a super expensive game and is a well-regarded game, and it comes from the mind of a very legendary Japanese artist. So for all of those reasons, plus the fact that it's not a super expensive game and you can get a copy for a reasonable price, maybe as low as 30, maybe as high as 50, depending on what kind of condition you want it in, I'd say this is one worth considering adding to your library. You don't have to take my word for it, of course. You can try a demo of it before you actually move on to buying the game. Just like I'm trying to navigate the level by only moving forward a little bit at a time because I know there are falling platforms, but I can't seem to open this mystery chest here on the highest platform, which makes me think there was something I was supposed to shoot at and didn't. Like, obviously I didn't pick up the hidden key in this area, and it loops back around on itself when you get to the end if you don't have that key, so I need to find a walkthrough, a game fac, or some sort of hint guide. Maybe somebody like Ryan Taylor, Maximum RD, Galvatron, Modern Classic Gaming. Maybe one of you guys out there knows what I'm doing wrong and can tell me, so feel free to leave it in the comments below. And if you're new to the channel, of course, you want to subscribe to Mr. MegaManFan so you never miss new episodes of the PC Engine Files every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. And one other name that I thought of, Bjorn Hagerstam. I'm probably totally butchering your name, Bjorn. I'm sorry about that, but maybe you know because you comment on PC Engine Files here and there. So if you know this game, if you know Blue Blink, and you know what I'm doing wrong in this particular area, please, Bjorn, feel free to fill me in and let me know what I should do next. But I'm going to keep trying anyway because I find this game enjoyable and it's frustrating in some ways, but not in a way that makes me want to rage quit. I actually ended up playing it a lot longer for this particular video than I expected to for a typical episode of the PC Engine Files, so I'll probably just upload the uncut footage and give you a better look at it. Thanks as always for watching.